Do you know what the most dangerous thing in trading is? It's not losing money. It's not lack of knowledge either. It's winning too early. I once won 3 trades in a row on my very first morning trading the 5-minute chart. No fancy indicators, no clear idea what risk-reward even meant. I just felt that candle was going to bounce. I clicked the button and the market moved exactly as I predicted. 3 times in a row. 3 times the market played along. And 3 times my brain got flooded with dopamine, as if I had just discovered the Holy Grail. I sat up straighter, opened an extra screen, told myself maybe I'm actually gifted. No one warned me that those first wins were a trap, a sweet yet brutal trap. It's like learning to play poker and winning a few rounds early on. You don't realize you were just dealt good hands. You think you're skilled, but you were just lucky. And in trading, the illusion of being talented after a short winning streak is exactly what can cost you everything. I began to feel so confident it turned reckless, entered trades faster, doubled my position size. No signal confirmation, no stop loss. I believed I could feel the market until within the next 90 minutes, I lost every dollar I had made and went down another 40%. Back then, I didn't understand what had just happened. I thought I just needed to get my groove back. I thought the market was just messing with me. But the truth was, I never had an edge. I was just reacting to dopamine and calling it strategy. Here's what no one tells you. In short-term trading, especially day trading, winning doesn't prove you have an edge. Only data and your ability to repeat with discipline can do that. If you've ever won your first few trades and thought, I was born to trade, then maybe you were just like me back then. And maybe you're standing right in front of the market's sweetest trap. So what is a real edge? Why do most traders think they have one when they're just gambling in high speed? This video is the answer I wish I had known much sooner. The trap of fast wins on fast time frames. I remember exactly how it felt after those first wins. Heart pounding, hands slightly trembling, not from fear, but from excitement. I felt like I had figured out how the market works. I even texted a friend, maybe I found my calling. The problem is, I wasn't the only one who felt that way. Most beginners who win a few trades early on think the same thing. But think about it for a second. How can someone who's never studied technical analysis deeply, has no clear strategy, no back testing, suddenly rid the market after just a few hours? The answer is they can't. But the brain, especially the dopamine reward system, doesn't operate on logic. Dopamine doesn't care about logic. In trading, every time you win a trade, even by luck, your brain releases dopamine. You feel good, you feel high, and you want to do it again. It's primal. It's how humans learn from rewards. Do A, get B, A must be good. But trading doesn't work that way. You can do everything right and still lose because of probability. You can also do everything wrong and still win because the market just happened to agree with you. Here's the danger. Your brain can't tell the difference. It just records, I won. That means this method works. Even if this method is just an emotional impulse. Fast time frames, fast feedback, fast addiction. Day trading, especially on the 1-minute or 5-minute chart, is like a high-speed game. You get feedback almost instantly. Enter trade, a few minutes, win or lose. And here's the problem. The faster the feedback, the easier the addiction. The more addicted you become, the harder it is to step back and think objectively. The less objective you are, the more you rely on feelings. And just like that, the loop begins. Imagine this, a new trader, no system, trades the 1-minute chart, wins 3 trades. Dopamine hits, feels naturally talented, keeps trading, no stop loss, loses a trade, enters revenge mode, goes in heavier to make it back, loses again, mental shock, repeats, blows the account. Sound familiar? That's the path thousands of traders walk, and most never make it back. Why we mistake luck for skill. One of the biggest illusions for new traders is mistaking luck for skill. Why? Because our brains love pattern recognition. If you see the market bounce off the 20 MA 3 times in a row, you start believing 20 MA is strong support. But have you tested it? Do you know the actual probability? Do you understand what conditions make the 20 MA work? No, because most of us don't do that. We just think, it seems right, so it must be right. That's how pseudo-edges form. You think you found an advantage, but in reality, you've just memorized a random pattern. The danger of confirmation bias. Once you believe you have an edge after a few wins, you start collecting data that supports that belief. That's confirmation bias. You ignore the times your pattern fails. You only log the trades that match the setup. You say, the market's choppy today, otherwise it would have worked. You keep trading that pattern without realizing a real edge can't be proven in 5, 10, or even 20 trades. A real edge takes at least 100 plus trades, fully logged, statistically reviewed, and tested across different market conditions. And most importantly, you need to be able to repeat that edge, disciplined, consistently. Fast wins create ego, and ego kills traders. Fast wins, especially when you're new, are poison to the ego. You start thinking you're special. You start believing you can feel the flow of money. You begin mocking system traders. You break your own rules. No stop loss, no position sizing, no journaling. You trade on inspiration. You become a professional impulsive trader until one big loss wipes it all out and more. Fast wins aren't proof of anything. If you've just won your first few trades in day trading, congrats. But don't rush to believe you have an edge, because early wins prove nothing. They only prove you got lucky. And if you don't know how to manage that luck, it will destroy you. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. But a few trades from now, a real edge doesn't live in your feelings. It lives in your data, in your ability to repeat, in your discipline, and in your ability to stay sober while dopamine screams in your brain. In the next part, I'll show you how to tell the difference between a fake edge and a real one, and why most traders are gambling without even realizing it. If you've ever won quickly and thought you were skilled, the next part might be exactly what you need to hear. Fake edge vs real edge, how to tell the difference. I used to think, if I can win consistently for a few days, that must be a sign of having an edge. But here's the truth. Any gambler can win a few rounds. And if you can't tell the difference between structured luck and a true edge, you'll forever be a victim of your own illusion. 1. Fake edge. When your brain wants to believe you're skilled. A fake edge is the feeling that you understand the market, but it's based on nothing more than a short winning streak or setups that seem to work. Imagine flipping a coin. At some point, you're almost guaranteed to get 5 heads in a row. Does that make you a magician who controls probability? No. And in trading, many fall into that exact trap. I once had a simple system: trade breakouts from price zones. A few times I saw those breakouts deliver 2R, even 3R profits. I redrew the zones, set alerts, and every time price broke out, I entered like a robot. But after a few weeks, the losses piled up. I blamed the market, blamed the weather, blamed the news. Never once did I stop to ask, does this system actually have an edge, or was it just statistical coincidence? Fake edge is often built on random sequences of results, personal belief, this pattern feels reliable, short-term unverified outcomes, no backtesting or statistical proof. And worst of all, fake edge convinces you that you're in control of the market when really you're just clinging to a few moments of luck. 2. Real edge, verified repeatability, regardless of short-term outcomes. A real edge is a small, very small advantage that can be repeated with high enough probability to produce long-term sustainable profits. It's not based on feelings, not based on a few early wins, not based on today just feels different. A real edge always includes 3 non-negotiables. A, verified probability. You must have hard data. What's the win rate of this setup? What's the average RR? How much do you lose when it fails? How much do you gain when it works? If you don't know those numbers, you don't have an edge. You're trading on hope. B, emotion-free, clearly defined setup. A real edge is something you can logically describe. For example, I only enter trades when there's a breakout plus volume spike plus RSI crosses 50 with stop loss below the nearest swing low. It's not. I just feel like the price will go up because it dropped a lot yesterday. C, works across market conditions. If your system only works in strong trends but collapses in a range, it's not an edge, it's a conditional flaw. A real edge needs at least a few hundred trades tested, preferably across 2 to 5 years of historical data. You need to show, even with drawdowns, the system is profitable long-term. It doesn't rely on gut feeling about today's market. 3. Why fake edge is more dangerous than you think. The biggest problem with a fake edge is it leaves no trace. It gives you a sense of control. When you win, you believe your system works. When you lose, you switch strategies, and so you never gather enough data to know what actually works. This loop is like a lab rat in a maze, always thinking the cheese is just around the next corner, just because it found it there once. Fake edge turns you into a short-term win addict. All it takes is a few early victories to convince yourself you've got the touch. But you don't realize, you don't control probability, you have no back-tested data, no routine to stay disciplined, no trade management plan. You're just hoping. Chapter 4, How to Spot Your Real Edge, with 4 brutal questions. 1, can you describe your edge in 3 specific lines? If not, it's emotion, not a system. 2, do you have at least 100 back-tested trades for each setup? If not, it's guesswork, not probability. 3, can you repeat your entry process without feeling the market? If not, you're gambling on mood swings. 4, do you have a routine to manage the system, win or lose? If not, you'll destroy your own edge through emotion. 5, what I lost because I couldn't tell the difference. I wasted over 7 months bouncing between indicators, strategies, and trending setups. I joined Discord groups. Listened to pro traders share how they pulled 10R trades last week. I copied them and blew my account. Not because their system didn't work, but because it wasn't my system. I didn't know my edge. I didn't verify whether my approach worked long term. I didn't have a system, I only had hope. 6, in summary, how to know if you're imagining an edge. If you can't describe it, it's a fake edge. If you don't have data, it's a fake edge. If you change strategies weekly, it's a fake edge. If you think winning is enough without a plan, it's delusion. But if you have a system with specific rules, you have verified probability-based data, you have a risk control process, and you can trade it in an emotionally neutral state. Congratulations. You're stepping into the world of real edge. Next up, why most day traders build systems that destroy their psychology. We'll dive into why most traders accidentally design systems that break their minds, and how to build one that aligns with your nervous system, not someone else's. The Dunning-Kruger peak, why traders overestimate their skill, the Dunning-Kruger effect, and the illusion peak of new traders who win a few trades. I remember clearly the moment I hit my peak performance. After a week of consistent entries and a 15% gain, I started feeling different. Gone was the curiosity of a beginner. Gone was the fear of pressing buy. In its place, a subtle, simmering confidence, bordering on superiority. I looked at other traders posting on forums and thought, why are they still struggling with the basics? I read trading psychology books and thought, these guys must suck at trading if they need help with emotions. I thought I had figured out the market. And that was the Dunning-Kruger peak, the point where ignorance and overconfidence collide and create tragedy. 1. What is the Dunning-Kruger effect? Put simply, it's when people who know very little overestimate their abilities. Meanwhile, those with real experience tend to be more humble because they're aware of how much they don't know. In trading, this happens all the time. Someone wins a few trades, learns a few simple setups, and immediately believes they've mastered market structure. They start teaching, they create custom indicators, some even open mentorship rooms. Meanwhile, traders with 5 to 10 years of experience stay silent, quietly reviewing data, refining their system, logging every small mistake. The Dunning-Kruger effect isn't just a psychological theory. It's a real trap, and it pulled me in like an emotional whirlwind, blinding me to logic and inner warning signs. Why do traders fall into this illusion peak? Because the market gives instant feedback. You enter a trade, it moves in your favor. You win, you get a dopamine hit, and you confuse winning with skill. Winning equals talent, losing equals weakness. But in the beginning, winning doesn't equal ability. It could just be luck or a coincidence with favorable market conditions. But your brain doesn't see that. It only remembers the feeling of being right, and it remembers it deeply. Hammer 3. Symptoms of the Dunning-Kruger peak in trading. Are you sitting on the peak? You win a few trades, then stop using stop losses because you know price will come back. You stop journaling because it feels unnecessary. You criticize other systems, even though yours has never been properly backtested. You double or triple position sizes just because of a recent win streak. You believe you've decoded big money flow after a few breakouts. Worst of all, you stop learning because you think you've learned enough. That's not mastery. That's delusion.
Hash 4.
The price of illusion. What happens after the Dunning-Kruger peak? A fall, a painful one. I began to lose over and over. Trades that seemed sure things were stopped out within minutes. I blamed the market, then the spreads, then the news. I thought, this is just a bad phase. But it wasn't. The truth? I never had skill. I was just good at fantasizing and got lucky for a while. And when the market changed, as it always does, I collapsed. My account dropped 60% in less than 10 days. I panicked. I tried to recover. I revenge traded, and then I stopped. I had no capital left. 5. How to escape the Dunning-Kruger peak. Step 1. Accept that you may not be as good as you think. It hurts, but it's the start of real learning. Step 2. Return to data. Have you backtested at least 100 trades? Do you know your win rate, R multiple, drawdown? Have you demo traded for 3 months with full discipline? If the answer is no, you don't have an edge. You only have the illusion of one. Step 3. Learn from those ahead of you with humility, not to copy them, but to understand. True mastery needs no spotlight. It shows in how they think, act, and control themselves. 6. The difference between peaked and surviving traders. Dunning-Kruger peak traders. Trust themselves more than the data. Seek fast, lash easy answers, trade based on recent wins, speak like experts after just a few wins. Surviving evolving traders. Know what they know and what they don't. Prioritize capital preservation over fast profits. Trade with systems and emotional control. Stay humble and consistent. I was once the first kind. Now, I try every day to become the second. 7. Final reminder. Don't let confidence kill you. If you're winning, great, but stay grounded. If you're losing, you might be falling off the illusion peak. And that's when real learning begins. Remember, in trading, greatness isn't about winning quickly. It's about never stopping your learning, always validating your edge, and surviving long enough to evolve. I once stood on the Dunning-Kruger peak, smiling in arrogance, and I fell through blood and tears. But that fall, if you're awake enough, might become the most valuable part of your trading journey. You can't repeat what you don't understand. I once nailed a beautiful short trade right at the top of a NASDAQ retracement. Perfect setup, clean entry, take profit at the exact bottom, risk reward 1-4. But when someone asked me, why did you enter there? I stuttered. I could only say it felt like last time, or I just knew the market was going to drop. I had no clear answer, no specific logic, just instinct and a bit of luck. The problem? I won that trade, yes, but I couldn't repeat it. The next day I tried to replicate it exactly and got slapped. I tried to recreate the feeling from the win and drifted further from discipline. That's when I realized, open quote, you can't repeat what you don't truly understand, close quote. Nash, winning doesn't help you improve unless you know why you won. Most beginner traders make the same mistake. They treat every win as proof of skill. But the truth is, early wins are often just noise. If you don't have a defined system, no statistical record, no understanding of market logic, then winning or losing is no different from flipping a coin. The danger is psychological. Your brain tags every win as the right method, even when there was no method at all. Over time, this creates random habits you think are an edge, but these habits fail in changing market conditions, so you keep failing without knowing why. Understanding builds reliability. Luck breeds illusion. Imagine hitting the bullseye 3 times in a row while blindfolded. Would you say, I'm a dart master? Of course not. But in trading, many fall into exactly that illusion. They win a few early trades, they feel confident, they think they understand the market, when in reality they're blindfolded by emotion and ignorance. To trade consistently, you need to remove the blindfold. You need to understand why you entered that trade, why it aligned with market logic, why you exited there. What could make the same setup fail in the future? Understanding equals you can review. Reviewing, you can learn. Learning equals you can repeat and improve. If you're only storing the feeling, you're chasing your reflection in the mirror. Ask yourself these 4 questions after every trade. This is how I train myself to understand my trades. 1. What was this trade based on? Which setup? What confirmations? Or was it just that red candle looked strong, so I shorted? 2. What did I expect the market to do? Continue the trend, retrace, Break a level. If you can't answer, you were just guessing. 3. Did I follow my system? If yes, log it. If not, don't judge the result, judge the behavior. 4. If this exact trade ran 100 times under the same conditions, would I take it again? If the answer is not sure, that setup isn't trustworthy yet. Repetition starts with understanding. One perfect golf swing doesn't make you Tiger Woods. But if you understand what you did, stance, tempo, grip, you can train it, refine it, and repeat it. Trading is no different. Repeatable success doesn't come from intuition or timing. It comes from knowing the setup you chose, the market logic behind it, your behavior during the trade, whether results matched expectations, what you'll do better next time. Once you understand every step well enough to explain it clearly, repetition isn't effort anymore. It becomes structured instinct. Warning: don't confuse understanding with obsession. Understanding doesn't mean overanalyzing. Many traders fall into the trap of dissecting every tick until they go crazy. You don't need to understand every candle, only need to understand the ones that relate to your system. Don't make the market explain itself. Let your system speak for you. Habit I recommend you start today. After every trade, write down 3 lines. 1. What was this trade based on? 2. Result. Why did it win, lose? 3. One thing I learned? Then each week, pick 3 trades. 1 win, 1 loss, 1 break even. Analyze them deeply. Spot patterns and deviations. Log them into your personal trading journal. Only when you understand yourself in each action can you build true consistency. From it feels like an edge to harsh truth. After verification, let me tell you about a setup I thought was my holy grail. The setup: trade the breakout of the first H1 candle of the London session. Conditions: candle body 50% of its range closes near the high-low. Entry: buy sell stop above below the candle. SL 20 pips, TP 40 pips. RR equals 1 to 2. I back tested it manually over 20 days, 15 wins. I got excited. Started live trading. 2 weeks later, consecutive losses. Drawdown 30%. I went back and tested it using Forex Tester. Here's what I found. The setup only worked during trending London opens on GBP USD. On sideways days or during news releases, it failed with fake breakouts. I hadn't tested enough samples. I had cherry-picked winners. What I thought was an edge was just statistical noise. Lesson: a true edge must survive changing markets, volatility, and news cycles, and be tested on 100+ independent samples. Backtesting isn't about profit, it's about stability. Most traders backtest to ask, how much profit can I make? But the best traders ask, how long and deep is the average drawdown? What's the worst losing streak? Can I handle it mentally? Are the profits skewed by just a few outliers? If I remove the best and worst trades, does the system still work? These are edge quality metrics, not just win-loss numbers. You could have a system that wins 80% of the time, but fails because profit distribution is uneven. Meanwhile, a system with 40% win rate but high RR and consistency can thrive for years. A real edge looks boring. It repeats the same entries over and over. Some weeks win, some weeks lose, but long-term it inches forward steadily. And the best part, you can sleep peacefully after clicking submit, because you trust your process, not your outcome. The mental traps of building a real edge and how to escape. Building a real edge sounds great until psychology gets in the way. Here are 3 traps I've fallen into. Header 1, just one more tweak to make it perfect. You build a decent system, but it doesn't feel ready. So you add indicator A, filter with condition B, remove signal C. Eventually your system is so complex you forget why you entered. Solution: keep it simple. If a basic setup works over years of data, don't ruin it trying to feel safer. I tested and still didn't find the holy grail. Many quit because they don't find a perfect system. Bad news: an edge doesn't mean no losses. It means positive probability if you behave consistently. A real edge can include 6 to 7 losses in a row. Survival means managing risk through that streak. 3. It looks solid, but I still don't trust it. This is the invisible fear. You see your system working, but without enough personal experience, you give up after a few losses. Fix: trade it on demo with serious position sizing. Journal emotions. If you feel something's wrong, check data, not feelings. Tools that help you build a real edge. If you're serious, try Forex Tester Trading Sim, simulate real-time market replay. Excel, Google Sheets, log trades, sort by setup, session, conditions. Edgewonk TraderSync, professional journaling with stats. MyFXBook FX Blue, live demo tracking for analytics. PineScript, TradingView, code and test your system on long-term charts. The tool doesn't matter as much as what you extract from the data. Long-term mindset. Survivors know that edge is a journey. A real edge doesn't arrive in a eureka moment. It's forged from disciplined repetition, observing objectively, logging honestly, testing consistently, refining based on evidence, not emotion. Edge invincibility. It's a small, repeatable advantage you maintain, even when short-term results go against you. If you've won a few trades and think you've cracked the code, pause. Ask yourself, do I have any data to back this up? When does this setup work, and when does it fail? Can I explain it without using the phrase "I feel like"? If not, you don't have an edge. You're just borrowing luck from the market. And like all unauthorized loans, the market will come to collect. With interest, the hidden cost of not having an edge. I used to think losses were the price I paid for learning, but they weren't. There's a cost far greater, a quiet, creeping price that eats away at your self-trust and your sense of identity. It doesn't show up on your MT4 balance. It shows up in the doubt in your eyes each morning as you ask yourself, am I really good enough to be a trader? 1. No edge doesn't just cost you money. It costs you yourself. When you don't have an edge, or worse, when you think you do, you enter every trading session with hope, not expectation. And between hope and expectation lies a psychological chasm that swallows countless traders whole. You hope this trade will work, you hope today's market is friendly, you hope your gut is right this time. And when that hope crashes, you don't just lose money, you lose belief in yourself. Bit by bit, you start to wonder, am I not smart enough? Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Is trading just a scam? But the truth is, you're not stupid, you're not unfit, you're not being scammed. You're just missing one thing, a real edge. 2. The emotional loop that keeps you stuck. Imagine you're gambling without knowing it. Each time you win, it feels like you've uncovered the secrets of the universe. Each time you lose, you think the market is playing tricks. You get pulled into a cycle. Win, confidence, bigger trades, lose, anger, holding losses, recover, cockiness, lose again, despair. This isn't trading anymore. It's a dopamine game, and you're the mouse hitting a reward button on a slot machine. Every loop chips away at your clarity, your discipline, your self-respect. Worse, it creates a tired trader, doubting themselves, always trading to get back. 3. The cost of time and the illusion of grinding. You might lose a few $1,000s. You deposit again, then lose again, and you tell yourself, this is tuition. I'll get better soon. But if you don't know what you're learning, can't measure your progress, have no process to convert lessons into edge, then you're not learning, you're just enduring. The market doesn't reward endurance, it rewards observation, adaptation, and systemization. You might spend 2 years thinking you're grinding, but all you did was repeat unverified behavior, and when you look back, all you have is a messy spreadsheet and hours of chart time with no meaning. Shashan 4. You lose stability in your personal life. No edge means no clarity. No clarity means no specific expectations. No expectations, no habits. The result? You don't know what time to wake up. You don't know when to stop trading. You don't know when you violated a system, because you don't have one. Trading starts to consume your whole day. You stare at the screen like a starving hunter. You snap at loved ones when the market betrays you. You feel anxious every weekend because you have no clear direction. No edge equals your life loses structure, not just your trades. Number 5. From no edge to an identity crisis. Worse than losing money is losing who you are. You used to be disciplined. Now you FOMO. You used to be calm. Now you slam entries like you're in a frenzy. You used to be proud of your analytical mind. Now you're scanning Telegram comments to decide buy, sell. Trading without edge erodes your identity. It turns you from a person of purpose into someone ruled by emotions, drifting aimlessly, easy to manipulate. That's the cost no one sees, no one measures. But it's the reason most traders quit, not because they blew their accounts, but because they can no longer recognize themselves. Number 6, a real edge isn't just a signal, it's a spiritual spine. An edge doesn't just help you win, it tells you when not to trade. It reminds you that losing is normal. It tells you where you are in the bigger probability curve. But most importantly, it helps you make peace with uncertainty. When you have an edge, you don't need to be right on every trade. You just need to execute right every day. That gives you peace of mind, not just to trade, but to live. True freedom begins with an edge. I used to think freedom in trading meant no boss, cafe laptop life, control my time. Now I know, real freedom is not fearing myself when I trade, not having to guess, not needing to wrestle my emotions every session, not hoping the market will be kind today. Just this: boot the system. Check for signals. If none, log off. If yes, execute per system. Then close the laptop, take a walk, read a book, live a life untouched by the market's chaos. Freedom doesn't come from the market. It comes from having an edge. The silent price. Without an edge, you don't just lose money. You lose time, self-trust, habits, direction, identity, and your inner freedom. And if you're trading right now without knowing what your edge is, if you haven't defined it, tested it, or repeated it, stop. Not to quit, but to ask the most important question of this entire journey. Open quote, is what I'm doing repeatable, or am I just reacting to emotion? Close quote. Because the cost of not having an edge isn't in the money you lose, it's in the person you become. If you keep going like this, the slow death of confidence and the rise of delusion, trading doesn't kill you with a single blow. It wears you down little by little, not because the market is cruel, but because you don't realize you're dying. Star 1. It starts with silence. No one says anything when you're winning. You're confident, you're excited, you think, I'm on the right path. Then comes the losing streak. No warning, no sirens, just a quiet doubt creeping in. You start to wonder, am I doing something wrong? Has the market changed, or is it just bad luck today? You review your system, find no clear flaw, but your mind begins to panic, and from there, you spiral into something dangerous. Nanar 2. Confidence doesn't die all at once. It decays. The market doesn't shoot down your confidence with a bullet. It drains it with 1,000 tiny cuts, a stop-loss hit despite a perfect entry, a false breakout that sends you the wrong way, a red day that makes you question everything. You stop holding trades, you take profits too early, you move stop-losses around. You call it being flexible, but you've lost control. In trading, confidence isn't believing you'll win this trade. It's believing you're executing the system correctly. When that system becomes unclear or you stop believing in it, every trade becomes a gamble, whether you admit it or not. Then delusion rises, disguised as intuition. This is when your mind starts making stories, just to survive. You catch yourself saying things like, open quote, I don't think today's market feels right. Something's off, better sit this one out. I'm waiting for more confirmation, and never enter. You have to adapt to this market now. Close quote. You start tweaking your strategy every week. Add indicators, switch timeframes, jump from price action to RSI, from RSI to order flow, from day trading to swing trading. You don't realize you're no longer trading, you're running. And every new system optimization brings momentary relief because you believe this time will be different, but it's not. It's just another cycle of delusion. Hash 4, why delusion is more dangerous than losing. When you lose, you still have reality. You see the red number, you feel the pain, but when you're delusional, you rationalize every failure. Open quote, I knew it, Newsday. If the spread had been tighter, I'd have won. The market had no logic today. The broker hunted my stop. Close quote. So you change brokers, change strategies, change styles, and after 2 years, you're still where you started. No bigger count, no deeper skills, but your ego is tougher than ever. You still believe you're almost at a breakthrough. Still believe you just need more data. Still believe you just need to be a little more patient. You don't see it yet, but you're already clinically dead in your trading journey. 5, every failed trader was once confident. That's the brutal truth. No one starts trading saying, I'm going to gamble, I'll be undisciplined. They start with passion, with research, with backtesting, but they lose themselves through micro-trauma, market pain, losing streaks, unrealistic expectations. No one taught them that. Confidence in trading isn't a feeling, it's a system. You don't need to feel good. You need to feel clear. You don't need motivation, you need execution. 6, how to escape the slow death spiral. The answer is pain. You have to let it hurt. Don't run. Don't justify. Sit down. Look at your past charts. Every trade, every time you manually interfered, every time you moved to stop, every time you broke your rule, the system didn't die. You killed it with lack of discipline. You don't need a new strategy. You need a new you. Someone who keeps the rules even when losing. Someone who stays grounded even when winning. Someone who knows a system only proves itself over 100 trades, not in the first 3. The slow death and rebirth through discipline. Here's the truth. Confidence in trading isn't something you have. It's something you build. You build it through consistency. You protect it with discipline. You rebuild it through honesty. And you sustain it with humility. If you feel lost, uninspired, directionless, don't chase a new strategy. Find your process again. Find your true edge. Rewrite your rules and commit to living or dying by them for the next 100 trades, and you'll come back to life. Trading without identity. Why you keep starting over. I used to think my problem was not having the right strategy. After a long losing streak, I would blame the system. When I couldn't stay disciplined, I'd tell myself I must have picked the wrong time frame, or maybe I should try a calmer pair, or maybe I just don't know enough yet. And so I would reset, open a new account, backtest everything again, start a clean Google sheet. At the top, I'd write, "A new era begins today." A few weeks later, I'd be right back where I started. The question is, why? I'm not stupid, I'm not lazy, I'm not lacking willpower, but something deep inside me was preventing me from sticking to a long-term journey. And now I understand. I didn't have a trading identity. You can't build a tower on sand. Imagine trying to build a solid skyscraper. You hire brilliant architects, you've got amazing blueprints, you even invest in expensive decor. But there's one problem. You're building on sand, no foundation, no stability underneath. That's what most traders overlook. We obsess over indicators, timeframes, new systems, but we don't build a solid foundation. We lack identity. You don't know who you are, you don't know what trading style fits you, and you have no deep reason to stay the course. Without identity, you're always running from yourself. I began to notice a pattern. Every time I was wrong, I didn't just lose money. I lost trust in myself. Every time I hit a streak of stop losses, I started doubting the entire system. Every time I failed to cut a loss, I labeled myself weak. Then I'd do what I always did. Delete everything. Start over, hoping this time would be different. But without a clear identity, you don't even know what you're fixing. You're lost in a maze and don't even know where the exit is. What is a trading identity? It's not about whether you trade price action or ICT, not about being a day trader or a swing trader. Identity answers the question, open quote, "Who am I in this market and why have I chosen this approach?" Close quote, a real trading identity answers at least 5 core questions. 1, why do I trade? What's my ultimate goal? 2, what market type and methods suit my personality, time, and psychology? 3, how do I handle losses? How do I react to volatility? 4, do I have a personal code of ethics in trading, e.g., no revenge trades, no system interference? 5, what do I fundamentally believe when I enter the market? Technicals, probabilities, psychology? If you don't have clear answers to those, you're trading without a backbone, and you'll break easily. Why lack of identity leads to destructive loops. Without identity, none of your actions are rooted. Today it's EMA, tomorrow it's smart money. Every loss is blamed on the wrong method. Every emotional response gets pinned on the system. But here's the truth. No method will work if there's no person behind it. Without identity, every setback feels like failure. So you toss the old system. The new one isn't a solution, just a temporary escape from feeling lost. So you reset again and again. The difference a real identity makes. I once met a trader named Hai. He only used a simple setup, break and retest on the H1 timeframe with a 50% Fibonacci level. Nothing flashy, but what stood out. He knew exactly who he was. He never traded on Mondays because my body hasn't synced into rhythm yet. He journaled every trade, not to study the system, but to study himself. He admitted, open quote, "I'm not great at Elliott Wave, I don't understand every indicator, but I know who I am and I don't betray my rules." Close quote. It's not about a superstar strategy, it's the foundation that keeps you steady when the market shakes. How to build your trading identity. 1. Start with yourself. Don't start with indicators. Start with you. Are you patient or impulsive? Do you prefer clarity or ambiguity? Do you handle emotions well or get easily shaken? You can't trade a patience-heavy method if you're naturally impulsive. You won't succeed with raw price action if you need crystal clear signals. 2. Build a personal code of ethics. Write down principles you won't break, no matter what. I never increase size after a loss. I stop trading if I lose 3% in a day. I never add to a trade when angry. This is your spine. 3. Track emotions, not just results. Journaling isn't just for win rate, it's to see how you reacted and why. Over time, you'll uncover what's truly you and what's just sabotage. Ashton 4, tie identity to a deeper ideal. Ask yourself, open quote, who do I want to become through trading? Close quote. Someone free living off a system they built, someone calm amidst chaos, someone who's dependable to themselves, who never breaks their word. When you have a deeper reason, you stop quitting halfway. I used to have no identity, so I kept running in circles. I used to change systems like changing shirts, rewrote my trading journal 12 times with 12 different titles. Then one day I wrote one sentence, open quote, I want to be someone who doesn't betray themselves, close quote. From that day, I stopped resetting. I didn't become a millionaire overnight, but I stopped feeling lost. Every mistake was logged, dissected, improved, not discarded. I built on the past, and that's how a trading identity is born. A journey without identity has no destination. If you find yourself constantly restarting, feeling hopeless, excited, then disappointed, pause. Not because you're weak, but because you're walking without knowing who you are. The system is just a tool. The edge is just a vehicle. But identity is the soul that keeps you alive and evolving. And only when you have identity, you stop running and start building a journey that's truly worth it. The identity shift, becoming the trader your system needs. There comes a point in every serious trader's journey where the question changes. It's no longer, what strategy should I use? How do I fix my emotions? It becomes, who do I need to become for my system to actually work? Let's be brutally honest, most traders don't fail because their strategy doesn't work. They fail because they don't match their strategy. They build systems that demand patience, but sabotage trades with impatience. They create rules for discipline, but constantly justify breaking them. They chase consistency while living emotionally erratic. Your system may be sound, but if your identity isn't aligned with it, that system becomes a cage. You'll resist it, you'll fight it, you'll sabotage yourself. This is where most traders get stuck. They evolve their tools, but not their identity. And the longer that gap exists, the more painful the trading becomes. Open quote, the real work isn't just building a better system, it's becoming the trader your system needs. Close quote. Trading isn't about performing, it's about embodying performance as temporary. Identity is your default. If your trading success depends on waking up focused or feeling good, it's fragile. That means your system only works when your mood is perfect. But the market isn't perfect. It's messy, chaotic, emotional. If your identity is reactive, your trades will be too. The goal is not perfection. The goal is alignment. So your natural reflexes support the system, not sabotage it. Identity isn't a mantra. It's a pattern. You don't become a sniper by saying, I'm a sniper. You become one by thinking, training, and acting like one, over and over again. Trading is no different. Your identity is built through the language you use about yourself, the actions you take under pressure, the stories you tell yourself after a loss, the systems you design and stick to. If you still talk like a gambler, think like a victim, and act like a thrill seeker, no strategy will save you. Your results will always reflect who you really are. The final bridge, aligning behavior, emotion, and reflex. Becoming the trader your system needs means one thing. You no longer fight yourself to follow your rules. Your behavior expresses your values. Your emotions are regulated from within. Your reflexes support execution, not sabotage. Let's break that down. 1. Behavior, from willpower to natural flow. You can white-knuckle your way through a few disciplined trades, but under pressure, willpower breaks. You'll get bored, anxious, overconfident, and you'll blow it. But when your behavior is identity-based, discipline feels natural. You're not trying to follow rules. You're expressing who you already are. A sniper doesn't feel tempted to spray bullets. A chess master doesn't panic after a sacrifice. Why? Because those behaviors are congruent with identity. Open quote, stop trying to act like a disciplined trader. Become one so the action flows effortlessly, close quote. 2. Emotions. Identity regulates feeling. Traders try to manage fear and greed with hacks, journaling, meditation, cold showers, all useful. But at a deeper level, identity regulates emotion. If you see yourself as someone who needs to win, then every loss feels like a threat. But if your identity is grounded in probability, long-term thinking, and execution, a loss is just data. Like an engineer testing a prototype. It's not failure, it's feedback. Open quote, your emotions change when your worth isn't tied to outcomes, but to integrity with your process. 3. Reflex. The last battleground. Here's where most traders break. You may behave well 90% of the time, you may feel calm most days, but your edge lives or dies in the split-second reactions. When price spikes suddenly, when your setup looks almost ready, when your plan hits a wall of uncertainty, when you think maybe just this once. That's where reflex kicks in, and reflex exposes your true identity. If your system needs patience, but your reflex is panic exit. If your system requires precision, but your reflex is hesitation, you're misaligned. Open quote, you don't rise to the level of your plan, you fall to the level of your reflex. Close quote. And reflex only changes through repetition, real-time feedback, simulation, reinforced beliefs, internal dialogue. You must train your body and nervous system to make the default response the right one. That's when trading becomes fluid. You don't think, you just execute, in flow, in sync, in control. A tale of two traders. Two traders joined a mentorship at the same time, same mentor, same strategy, same tools. Trader A mastered analysis, brilliant entries, but always exited early, always adjusted mid-trade, emotional swings everywhere. Trader B was average technically, but he focused on one question, open quote, who do I need to become for this system to work? Close quote. He worked on breathing, posture, mental rehearsals, recovery. He trained himself, not just his chart reading. 6 months later, Trader A, frustrated, exhausted, stuck in loops. Trader B, quietly profitable, not because he was smarter, but because he became the trader his system needed. Design yourself on purpose. Your system is a mirror. It reflects you under pressure. If it collapses when emotions spike, it's not the system, it's the person running it. So here's the truth. Open quote, the biggest edge in trading is not the system. It's becoming the person who can run it flawlessly. Close quote. That means shifting your identity consciously from your beliefs, words, routines, habits, emotional anchors, micro reactions. Design yourself on purpose because the market doesn't reward potential, it rewards alignment. And until who you are matches what your system needs, you'll always be the bottleneck. But the moment they align, open quote, that's when the game changes forever. Close quote. The Phoenix Protocol rebirth isn't a metaphor, it's a requirement. I used to think I just needed a better system, a smarter strategy, a cleaner entry. But the truth, I didn't need another path. I needed a different version of myself to walk the one I already had. You can have the best system, top-tier analysis, but if the one behind the screen is still the old you, you'll repeat the same mistakes, just with prettier charts decorating the failure. That's when I began to write what I now call the Phoenix Protocol, my rebirth process. 1. Death before rebirth, the necessary burn. You can't be reborn if you haven't died first. And I'm not talking about a few losing trades. I'm talking about the death of the trading ego, the one who believes they're smart enough, special enough, good enough to beat the market with instinct or tricks. I remember the night I watched my account burn again. No screaming, no punching the desk, just an eerie emptiness. A part of me died that night, and honestly, that was good. You must let your old identity burn, the false beliefs, the unconscious reflexes, all of it, scorched. Open quote, burn it all, so you can rise, close quote. Number 2, designing your new self like a system. I realized I didn't need a better system. I needed to become someone who could live the one I already had. So I began redesigning myself like I used to backtest strategies. How do I react in a sideways market? What's my mindset after 3 straight losses? Do I stay disciplined during unexpected news? I created an emotional checklist, just like a technical one. What reflexes must I train every morning? How long should I rest between sessions to stay sharp? How should I sleep to be alert for the NY Open? I stopped waiting to feel right before acting. I designed actions to create the right state. That's the first step of the Phoenix Protocol. Blueprint yourself, not based on who you want to be, but on who your system needs you to be. 3. Micro-death rituals. Practicing rebirth daily. Every day, I had to let a small part of my old self die and come back even 1% more as the trader I was building. I called them micro-death rituals. See a beautiful but off-setup trade. Don't enter. Kill the old reflex. Feel rage from a loss. Stand up, breathe, burn the angry ego. Power off my setup at my cutoff time. Live as someone in control. Rebirth doesn't arrive in one glorious moment. It shows up in 1,000 small choices to act differently. Logging the fire. Logging the fire during the Phoenix. I began journaling, not just trades, but the deaths and rebirths of my identity. What part of me did I kill today? Impulse, fear, arrogance? What part of me was born? New discipline, a different attitude? Who did I stop being? Who am I beginning to become? These weren't just notes. They became a map of my evolution. No audience, no applause, but every entry, a handful of ashes waiting for flame. Nur 5. Surrounding yourself with fire starters, rebirth is a personal process, but it requires a fiery environment. I sought out those who didn't talk big, but lived aligned. They had systems, and they were their systems. Not flashy, not loud, but consistent, growing, surviving. They didn't tell me what to do. They didn't need to. Just being near their discipline was like standing beside a bonfire, and it reminded me, burn your ego every day. I left the groups that only talked signals, entries, magic indicators. I chose those who talked identity, habits, inner systems. Open quote, you rise faster near others who are burning, close quote. 6. Not becoming a god, but a survivor. The Phoenix Protocol doesn't make you legendary. It makes you survive through fire, fear, doubt, and the urge to quit. Rebirth isn't about becoming invincible. It's about becoming the one still standing after every breakdown. I don't trade to win every day. I trade because this process demands I become better, or I'll have to die again. 7. The final line. Burn daily, rise slowly. If you're waiting for that one big day where you finally become a great trader, you'll wait forever. But if you burn just 1% of the old every day, in a few months you'll look back and wonder where that person even went. Phoenix Protocol isn't a theory. It's a daily resurrection of habits, of reflexes, of thought patterns. It's how you stay alive in a market that eats identity for breakfast. Open quote, don't ask how to win. Ask what you need to burn to stop losing, close quote. You don't need a new system. You need a new self inside the old one. You need a fire that burns the saboteur so the survivor can rise one day at a time. The edge is you, always has been. There's something I didn't have the courage to face until my 3rd year of trading. It wasn't the market that betrayed me. It wasn't that my system was broken. It was me. I was the weakest point in my entire system. I used to think edge was something external, a tool, a strategy, a formula. But after hundreds of losses caused by violating my own rules, after repeating the same emotional mistakes over and over, I realized the truth. Open quote, edge doesn't live in the system, edge lives in the person running it, close quote. The system doesn't click buy out of FOMO, you do. The system doesn't hope when price turns, you do. The system doesn't move stop losses because of fear, you do. And that leads to a painful but empowering truth. You are the edge. You're not trading the market, you're trading yourself. People say, the market doesn't care about you. I agree. But what's worse is you don't understand yourself. You bring into the market your expectations, fears, pride, need to be right, need to recover, and ghosts from past trades. Then you call it technical analysis. But you're not seeing the market as it is. You're only seeing your shadow reflected on the chart. Want real edge? Learn to trade yourself before you trade the market. Systems can be learned, but survival requires identity. Anyone can learn a strategy. Cut loss at 1R, take profit at 2R, wait for candle confirmation. Sounds simple. Then why do some traders win with it and others still burn their accounts? Because a system only works when the person running it has an identity that matches it. You can't be impulsive and expect to follow a mechanical system. You can't be afraid to lose and expect to trade a low win rate, high RR method. You can't be addicted to dopamine and expect to run a strategy that needs you to wait all week for one setup. Open quote. Your edge isn't the strategy you choose, it's the identity you build. Close quote. The Phoenix Protocol ends, a new era begins. In the last part, I shared the Phoenix Protocol, how to rise after blowing accounts, losing confidence, or losing your path. But rebirth is just the beginning. To keep going, you need a reason big enough, an identity strong enough, and an edge real enough. That's when you face the final question. Open quote, are you willing to become the very edge you've been searching for? Close quote. Not a strategy, not a mentor, not a holy grail. You. Disciplined, consistent, patient, humble, self-aware. That's the most sustainable edge of all. Redefining edge in a way you can actually live. Forget the textbook definition. Positive expectancy, win rate XRR1, data-driven edge, all true, but not enough. Real edge is this. Open quote. You can repeat the right behavior, regardless of emotional state, external conditions, or recent results. Close quote, a trader with edge isn't someone who knows everything. It's someone who knows exactly what they're doing, why they're doing it, and can do it again under any circumstance. That's edge, and that's you. Do you dare take the ultimate responsibility? From now on, no blaming the market, no whining about FOMC, no excuses for slippage or spread, no blaming false signals. From now on, every outcome is a reflection of you. If you did the right thing, even if the result isn't positive, you still won. If you broke your rules and got lucky, you still lost. Open quote, trading doesn't pay the right, it pays the disciplined. Close quote. And disciplined traders don't go searching for edge. They realize they are the edge. The end? No. This is the beginning. If you've made it to part 10, you're not just a trader. You're someone on a mission to reclaim yourself in a chaotic world. You don't need another new indicator. You don't need a magic course. You need a commitment to become the person your system can trust. Once you make that choice, every trade you take is no longer a gamble. It becomes a declaration of identity, a victory over self, a step closer to becoming the edge. Open quote, the edge is you. It always has been. Close quote. When you become the edge, the market bends to your discipline. You began this journey with what seemed like a simple question. How do I gain a real edge in the market? And maybe at some point you believed the edge was hidden inside a secret indicator, a proprietary formula, a holy grail system that only the elite possessed. But by the end of the journey, you've realized every door you opened only led back to yourself. The market doesn't need you to be smarter. It doesn't need you to be more accurate. It only needs you to become someone who can act correctly, even when your emotions scream the opposite. Open quote, you are the edge. Close quote. When you understand your fear, you stop running. When you observe your urge to break the system, you recognize it's not truth. When you can sit still through boredom, you've passed the test that wipes out 95% of traders. The edge is not in the system. The edge is in your relationship with the system, in the trust, in the discipline, in the identity you build, daily, relentlessly. Open quote. The edge is not a tool. It's not a setup. It's not a statistic. The edge is a person. The edge is a process. The edge is you. Close quote. And when you become the edge, you no longer fear the market's reversals. You no longer need to prove anything. You trade as if your life depends on that discipline, because in many ways it does. So now the final question is no longer, do I have an edge, but rather, have I become the person that edge requires? If the answer is not yet, go back to part 1. Because this journey, like the market, never ends. Only you can choose to keep walking it. If you've watched this far, you're not just someone searching for a trading strategy. You're someone searching for yourself in the battlefield of the market. Don't stop at knowledge. Action is what separates losing traders from legendary ones. Drop a comment. I am the edge in training. If you're ready to become the weapon your system needs. Subscribe if you want to keep going on this deep dive into trading psychology, where every video is a step in your mental evolution. No fluff, no hype, just truth and discipline. And if you know someone stuck in the emotional loop, share this video. You might just save an account and a life. Next episode, the first rituals of a disciplined trader. While others chase signals, you'll design yourself.